Very good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for today, Friday, the 2nd of May, 2025. We'll jump straight in to the last few days' synoptic picture, beginning yesterday at midday. A little bit of a disappointment compared to the forecast yesterday. A lot more top cover present than was expected, and that very much delayed the start of the day. But those who were patient did get launched, and there were a few decent flights yesterday considering the weather. But that top cover did then fill back in fairly quickly and began to sort of suppress the conditions. But all things considered, still a good day's flying. And we can see that we are expecting that cold front to work its way down yesterday. We were hoping, or I was hoping, it was going to pass overnight and give us some very unstable air today. But we can see midnight, it really hasn't moved that much. We do have this other one branching up from the south. We look at midday today. We might have just caught the end of the one coming from the south, but that one inbound from the north hasn't quite made it here yet, and it is beginning to weaken. Now, that being said, we've still got fairly good air, and overnight that will either dissipate or pass through, leading into some less than favourable weather with some frontal systems tomorrow. But once they've gone through the seclusion and warm front, overnight on Sunday during the day should in fact be rather good if the forecast is to be believed. So looking at these sat pics for today, lots of cloud all over the UK, quite a bit of wave activity up in the north of Scotland, particularly up towards sort of Lossiemouth and Nairn. Down here, though, for us, nice clear air. Fair bit of clouds to the north and lots down to the south coast. But we are staying more or less clear in the middle, and hopefully that's going to remain the case all day. Rain radar, you can see a little bit of shower activity associated with that. And if we move it up, small amounts up in the north of Scotland as well. But nothing presently on the radar for us. And if we run through the Met Office prediction, you see very fine precipitation down the south coast associated with that sort of coastal cloud. But more or less just standing fast there, not getting too close to us. Bit of showery activity sort of from 3 o'clock onwards in our area, possibly through some bit of overdevelopment. We can see into the evening, still fair bit, hopefully passing by, but nothing that's going to stop play. We might just have to work around it. The Odium TAF not applicable today. The Farnborough TAF, however, they're suggesting 250 degrees, 6 knots, cav OK. There's a prob 30 between 12 and 4, as we just saw on the Met Office prediction there, 8,000 metres and showery rain. Spot winds today to the south of us, 1,000 feet, 250 at 5, and at 2,000 feet variable at 5, to the north, more northerly, actually northeasterly, 010 at 10 and 020 at 5. So the wind is actually backing off with height initially. Fairly light winds all over today, variable direction. The general trend, however, is that westerly flow. And just having a look at windy to confirm that. Come down to Lasham here. Very, very light westerly flow showing there, and that's what we can see outside as well. So we'll be operating 2.7, albeit there's not much bias either way. The local Met Office forecasts painting quite a nice picture for us. Initially very light northerly, becoming northwesterly, and then generally just moving about all day. Good visibility, quite a low humidity and high UV warning. They're suggesting we may get some cumulus, which I think is very likely from about 1 o'clock onwards. Depends on which forecast you look at. Some suggest it might be slightly later or bang on sort of lunchtime. Temperature around 23 degrees today, so very pleasant on the airfield. GFS, their temperatures saying between 20 and 22 with a dew point of 14 today. Looking at the webcam on the south side looking west, anything slightly concerning at the moment and will hopefully work its way away is this sort of very fine upper cloud. Nowhere near as bad as yesterday, and hopefully not something that's going to cause us any issue, particularly as the day goes through. Temperature locally at Lasham now, we've reached 16.2 with a dew point of 12, so we're steadily climbing, not quite as warm as yesterday, where the warmest part of the day we hit 27. So we're expecting slightly cooler, but hopefully a reasonable split. We were down to 13 overnight, so if we get to 23, that's still quite reasonable. Sky sight, quite a positive picture in terms of potential flight distance. The point forecast locally to Lasham is just in quite nice cumulus from 12:30, 1 o'clock with climbs up to 4 knots. Altitude-wise, looking at probably about 5,000 feet, 5,500 feet if we're lucky, possibly slightly better further to the west or the south. And then overdeveloping possibly later on into the afternoon around 4:30, 5 o'clock, leading to a little bit of excess cloud, possibly even a little bit spread out. Winds at thermal top, generally west-southwesterly, very, very light. Later on in the afternoon, 3 knots at thermal top, so not very much there at all. Let's have a quick look at chance of overdevelopment later into the day. So that's 1 o'clock, fairly low, but by the time we get to sort of 4 and 5, some much larger area, particularly locally, actually to Lasham here, we should be seeing some overdevelopment. We'll have a look at the general cloud distribution on top meteo starting at 9 o'clock local. So in theory, what we're seeing at the moment. What isn't shown on here is that sort of fine upper cloud. It's generally suggesting that we're going to be clear here. What it is recognizing is that coastal sort of fog that was shown on the sat pic. We cycle that through hour by hour. So we start to get some cumulus popping about 12 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, there's plenty in the area. Nice run down to the southwest and actually to the north as well. It's popping quite nicely. That's 6 o'clock local now, 7 o'clock, and then deteriorates. So very much shutting off and beginning to possibly overdevelop here by around 5, 6 o'clock. And there's a potential later on for possibly some CBs, some thunderstorm activity, so that's worth keeping an eye on. Into the evening group, should be very nice. And it's going to inhibit us at all, but I just wanted to watch out for any sort of CBs hanging around, and there's possibly a little bit of auto Q filling in after about 7 o'clock. No times, nothing really to report. 28, we have Bath and Stacey live firing as normally expected. This cluster over here, one of which is Delta 132, the ash ranges, which is active, and there's a series of illuminant firing NOTAMs in that area as well. Over here, 32 and 29, we have various paragliding NOTAMs. So if you're out in that area, just worth keeping an eye on them. And that's us in terms of weather, except for the RF Odium cross section. They are recognizing the upper cloud we've got at the moment, the autocumulus and Castellanus. That should hopefully be gone fairly quickly. And they're predicting cumulus from about 11:30. That's Zulu, so 12 o'clock local. Base initially probably around 3,500 feet, going up to in excess of 5. They've got a prob 30 in for broken CBs around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock local. And then into the evening, that's becoming the scattered Q, strata Q, and auto Q. Reasonable visibility, only 30k on the surface with a light westerly wind, and just being advised that there is that a prob 30 for light showers, and a prob 10 at the moment for heavy thunderstorms. Got the bookings then. We have two K21s on course flying today, one for booked instructional flying, and there's a K21 for the casual list and club members. We have K13 on the Solid to Bronze course with Merv, and there's a K13 assigned for trial lessons. Presently, we have 3 on the casual list, so we need at least 1 instructor for that, please. And the simulator is available as normal. Just a reminder today, particularly if we've got any grid activity, to watch out if we're departing on 27 for all the noise and void areas and any self launches. If you're taking off 27, just watch out for a left turn over this particular area here. We get lots of complaints, and even if it's your own motor glider, they're going to think it's one of our tugs. Nothing to report from 2XL today. And in summary, we have high pressure with Q later into the afternoon and good soaring conditions, where there's a gentle westerly flow both in the upper air and on the ground. The runway 27 today will go cables on the grass to the south, and we'll aerotone from the harbour on the north, and we'll be gridding, as some of you are already, on 27 north grass. Please make sure you're ready when the cable or tug arrives. Clean the gliders that close at play today, and do not land on the disused runways shown here in red. That's our airfield setup with the North Point vehicle in the usual place, winching here, and we'll be gridding in that standard place on the north side. That's all from me. I will see you out there very shortly. Let's have a good day, keep it safe, and have good flying. Thank you.